Okay, it's August the 23rd. It's my second honey extraction, and I'm going to show you how I extract my honey. I have a storage building out back that I just designated as my honey house. Got me a little table here, and I put a stainless steel tank on it. You can see in here, there's already decapping from when I decapped already. I decapped 57 frames already. And 57 frames, almost all of them were full of honey. There was a couple that are my newer plastic frames that they didn't even, they only filled up maybe a quarter of it. And I ended up getting about 20 gallons out of 57 deep frames. But that's the decappings from it. There's a hole in the tank. And down here below it, there is a bucket with a wetting valve over the top of it. And that's what I use for filters a lot. Bees and the wax stuff can't get through there. There's my wetting valve. I bought a couple big rolls of it at garage sales, and this seems to work just fine. So what I do, I decap right here. Any honey that runs out runs down through here, through that hole, down into my bucket. And then I take that bucket and I pour it here. This is my secondary strainer. It's a little finer. It is a paint strainer from Lowe's for a 5-gallon bucket. And then you can see I've got a regular vegetable strainer cleaner type thing in there. The reason is when you pour that honey out, it takes time to go through that filter, and it'll pull that filter all the way down into that bucket. So to prevent that, you got to put something there to support that filter. So that's what I've done. I put a strainer in there that fits over a bucket. I didn't buy the stainless steel strainers. I didn't pop on the 50, 60 bucks for all those. Maybe one day I will. I'll find some good used ones or something, I'll get them, but right now I ain't messing with it. And then that's what I use. And there's honey in that bucket. Because of the strainer and everything goes down into the bucket, I can only strain about 3 gallons before I have to dump it. But that's good because 3 gallons of honey is pretty heavy. This is my holding tank. I'd say it's probably about a 35, 40 gallon stainless steel holding tank. It's got a bottler valve on the bottom of it, and I've got it just high enough so I can put honey into a 5-gallon bucket. I've got a bag over the top of it, and then I got a string I tie it real tight around there to seal it to keep anything out of it. You'll see there's honey down in here right now, and the white stuff on top is foam or air bubbles. It's not foam, it's air bubbles. And you can see the line up the side of that tank maybe where it was. That was 20 gallons, so that's probably at least a 40-gallon tank, maybe even more. But that's foam or air bubbles. That's why we let that honey sit for a couple days before we put it into our jars. So when we do get it in the jars, there won't be any white bubbles in there and everybody's like, ooh, what's that? So I'll try to keep it as clean and nice as I can. This is my extractor. It's a Day-Dant 2-framer manual. Usually my son's here helping me extract, but not today. He's in school, so I probably won't get to use him until this weekend. It has 2 baskets inside of it. Right now one of the baskets is flips. Usually are on the opposite side of each other. And what you end up doing is you put a deep frame in there. I use deeps. You probably use mediums, most of you. Put frames in there, decap, spin one side of them for about 30 seconds or so, get some of that honey out, then flip it over to side 2, flip about 90% of that honey out, or 100% if you can get it, and then flip it back over to side 1 and flip out side 1. I usually have a light looking straight down in there, and you can see the honey hitting the wall of the tank. You see some wax on there right now that's slung out, and that just happens. That's why you got to filter all this honey. And once I fill it up till it starts touching the bottom of the spinner, I stop, run it down in my bucket, and do that process over into my holding tank. This is where I get my honey from. There's my lid for my decapping tank. Oh, for decapping, I use a scratcher. I just bought a brand new one. I got it on eBay for like $3, free shipping. I think Man Lake has them on sale right now for like $5. I have a roller, and I have another scratcher down there, and I have a heat gun. I've used it a little bit, but I just didn't like, and I have a knife, I just didn't like applying the heat. I didn't like the way it was working, and it might have just been me. But the scratcher, I seem to can work really well with that, and I'm pretty fast with it. So But I'm out here just having fun. I'm not doing this for a living. I don't care if I go 100 miles an hour or 5 miles an hour, just as long as it gets done. And then out here, I can back my truck or four-wheeler or whatever right to my door. And these are some containers I got at Walmart. They were marked down to like $7. Had a few holes in them I had to tape closed. But I can pull my truck right up to my hives, pull my frames out one at a time, put them in here. These will hold 9 frames. So I got 27 in here right now. I can pull all my honey, set it right in here, so I only have to handle 10 pounds at a shot. I don't have to handle a whole box. Now I can pull it out here one at a time, take it in there, decaf it, and do my job. So that's the way I extract my honey. I'm going to shoot another part of this video to show you how I decaf it and totally extract it. But that's the way I do it. And the reason I do it this way is because I don't want to put any heat on my honey. People say using the knife straightens back out your comb and everything. Most of the time the reason your comb is crooked is because your foundation was crooked. I think. This is all my opinion. So if I get a frame that's starting to go wacko and the foundation's all crooked, I'll eventually just pull that frame out and re-foundation it, put it right back in there. It cost me $1 to get it done. Okay, well that's what I'm doing. And the reason, like I told you about these plastic frames, there's one of the plastic frames. And you can see here they have hardly done anything. And then they draw out some craziness right here, and I'm done with these plastic frames. They just don't seem to like them. They did cap honey here, but it's not deep at all. It's real shallow. This over here is real deep, and it's flush, and it's nice and pretty. They even went out past the frame a little bit here. But it's just, there's your two differences right there. All these plastic frames are out of my hives, and you can tell I've got 3 of them right here I want to replace while I'm doing this honey. I might leave them in there for the winter just because they're already drawn out to give them a chance to get re-winterized, but next year they're out. That's the way I do it. There's my truck, there's my honey house, there's all my equipment, and I'm going to get to work. Another suggestion real quick, besides all the filter and everything, have you a bucket of water standing by. It's always nice to stick your hands down in that water and clean your hands off real quick.